Good morning, everyone. Oh no, I guess it's the afternoon. Welcome. I was going to wear my Searle boots today, but I thought it might clash with my suit. But definitely we need it out there. Thanks so much for being with us today. My name is Danielle Aubry. I'm the CEO of Calgary Communities Against Sexual Abuse, or CASA, as we are known in Calgary. And I'm just going to go off script for one moment with the permission of Christiana, and that is that I would like to honor this event for my father, who passed away on Friday. He was one of my life's heroes, and he was also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. He was 92, and he told me this many, many years ago that he had been sexually abused as a child, and supported me all through my over almost 40 years of working in this field. And this was one of the last things I talked to him about before he passed away on Friday. So we always talked about my work and what I was doing. So this one's for you, Daddy. Thank you. So CASA is the primary sexual abuse, sexual assault, and sexual harassment agency that serves Calgary and the surrounding areas. We strive to enhance the health and well-being of all people and our broader community through responsible and effective programs and services that place survivors' needs at the center. These services include crisis intervention services, counseling, therapy, and police and court, all within our clinical programs. On behalf of everyone at CASA, I'm very, very pleased to host this announcement today. Our organization has been providing these supports and services to the community for almost 30 years, walking alongside survivors to make sure they're safe and getting the help they need. We believe that healing from trauma caused by sexual violence is more than possible, and that everyone's journey looks different depending on their individual needs and experiences. We respect that survivors are the experts on their own stories. We also want to shift attitudes and responses to sexual violence, and we remain committed to delivering education and prevention in our community, such as CASA's children's education program called Who Do You Tell, our youth program called Birch Grove, and many, many other presentations that are often tailored to the needs of the organizations that are requesting our information. I believe strongly that Albertans are thirsting for information about all forms of sexual violence and how they can be empowered to deal with it. I was very fortunate to meet this wonderful man several weeks ago. I'd like to invite Searle Turton, Minister of Children and Family Services, to come to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Danielle, for that introduction. I'm very honored to be here alongside my colleague, Minister Tanya, for Minister of Arts, Culture, and the Status of Women, and representatives from our amazing Sexual Assault Centre partners. And I'm here today to share how Alberta's government is strengthening support for survivors right across the province. Tomorrow, May 1st, marks the start of Sexual Violence Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness and challenges attitudes around sexual violence. Nearly half of Albertans, 1.8 million, have experienced some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. That's 1.8 million too many that are faced with the traumatic impacts of sexual violence. The effects of this type of abuse can be long-lasting, life-altering, and in speaking with survivors around the province and staff at sexual assault centers across the province, I've heard how it impacts every aspect of their well-being and their relationships, not to mention their ability to trust and feel safe. No one and no Albertan deserves that. Survivors should be able to access the critical supports and compassionate care that they need when they need it. And that's why I'm so proud to announce that we're delivering on our commitment to provide sexual assault centers an additional $10 million over 3 years. This includes $3 million to be rolled out this year, bringing our total annual investment in sexual assault centers to nearly $17 million. Centers will also receive another $3 million in 2025-26 and $4 million in 26 and 27 to ensure that they can continue their critical work to support and empower survivors, no matter where they are in their healing journey. Survivors of all ages and genders can turn to sexual assault centers for crisis intervention, counseling, safety, and educational supports. Many of our centers also provide police and court assistance to those who choose to report what happened to them, as well as supporting them at their local hospital. Building on our previous $4.2 million investment to address wait lists, this investment will ensure more survivors will be able to access these critical resources to heal and to move forward. I know many in this room want to know exactly how that funding will be distributed. Like we did with our women's shelter partners, we will be holding a roundtable with sexual assault centers in the upcoming weeks. This will allow government to hear directly from centers and those who work with survivors every day how this funding can best address their urgent needs, while making sure that resources are available everywhere in the province. I want to thank everyone working in these centers and all Albertans who support people affected by sexual violence, whether you're a friend, a loved one, or another support. Thank you to Sexual Assault Centers for your partnerships and the important work you do each and every day. And to sexual assault survivors, I recognize and honor the courage and hard work it takes to start and go through your healing journey. Please know that we believe you. You're not alone, and when you are ready, help is waiting and available. I encourage anyone who has experienced sexual violence or knows someone who has to please call or text Alberta's free confidential one-line for sexual violence at 1-866-403-8000 for help, or visit a sexual assault center in your community. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Minister Turton. I mean, we knew this was coming, but just hearing it and coming from incredible leadership, that's what needs to happen in order to make changes around this issue. So thank you so much. And for honoring the challenging journey that so many survivors must face when as they process what happened to them and begin to heal. It's now my pleasure to invite Tanya Min, Minister of Arts, Culture and Status of Women, to say a few words.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for sharing your story, Danielle. So thank you for all being here today, and thank you to my wonderful colleague, Minister Turton, for having me join you for this incredibly important announcement. A core part of how we can work to end gender-based violence, including sexual violence, is to support survivors. That is why the announcement today is so important. Investing an additional $10 million to support sexual assault centers will help survivors in their journey towards healing. These centers are hope and safe havens where survivors can find solace, support, and empowerment. And that word hope reminds me of another funding announcement that Minister Turton and I did, where the providers there talked about the hope and courage. People need to leave these situations, and that hope and courage has to be matched by organizations and facilities and people that are there to meet them. And that's why the work organizations like this do are so important. You're literally saving lives. You play a pivotal role in preventing sexual violence through public education and awareness initiatives, and our government supports and reaffirms our commitment to stand with survivors and take action to prevent all forms of gender-based violence from happening in the first place. Sexual assault impacts far too many people. One is too many. And women, children, young people, 2S LGBTQIA+ individuals, Indigenous people, racialized communities, and those with disabilities are disproportionately affected. As we enter Sexual Violence Awareness Month, let us use this opportunity to continue to support survivors, ensuring their voices are heard and their needs are met. But equally, let us use this as an opportunity to clearly state that we will not tolerate sexual violence in any form, and we will work together to stop it to happen to any more Albertans. As the Minister of Arts, Culture and Status of Women, my department is working to develop a 10-year strategy to end gender-based violence and to ensure that all survivors in our province have safe spaces to heal. But as this announcement clearly shows, we're not waiting until the strategy is finalized to act. We know that sexual assault centers play a crucial role in our communities. Survivors of all genders and backgrounds can turn to these centers to access crisis support, access to counseling, outreach, system navigation and advocacy, as well as crucial services such as police and court support for those who report their experiences to law enforcement. By investing in sexual assault centers, we are investing in the well-being and recovery of survivors across Alberta. We are also supporting programs like the Rural Sexual Assault Support Program. This program ensures that survivors in rural and remote communities have access to the support they need where and when they need it. By supporting training programs and initiatives to enhance the skills of rural healthcare providers to provide comprehensive sexual assault care, we are ensuring that survivors receive the support they deserve regardless of where they live in our province. But our commitment doesn't end there. No one should have to feel scared or unsafe in their own homes and own communities. We need to solve the root cause of this debilitating societal issue. And that is why our government is developing the 10-year strategy to end gender-based violence and support survivors. The strategy will help us enhance existing programs and services, identify and fill in gaps in services, and coordinate our efforts across government to put an end to the violence. Through the comprehensive and intensive engagement currently underway with Indigenous communities, community groups, service providers, and survivors, we know the strategy will make a big difference in the lives of Albertans. I want to again emphasize that supporting survivors and ending sexual and gender-based violence is a collective responsibility. Together, let us stand in solidarity with survivors. Let us create a society that does not tolerate violence in any form, and let us work tirelessly to build a future where all Albertans can live free from fear. Again, Minister Turton, thank you for leading this project and for your commitment to support survivors across our province. And I again want to say thank you to Alberta Sexual Assault Centers for providing the care and support survivors need and for working tirelessly to end the cycle of abuse. Your work is valued and incredibly important to our province. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Minister. Those are amazing words. I'd like to now introduce an amazing individual and a colleague of mine, Corinne Ofstie from the Association of Alberta Sexual Assault Services, to the podium. She'll wheel up here as she... Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you, Danielle. And to the team at CASA for hosting us today. Thank you, Minister Turton and Minister for bringing us together. As Danielle mentioned, my name is Corinne Ofstie, and I share leadership at the Association of Alberta Sexual Assault Services, or ASAS, as we call it, with my dear friend and colleague, Haley Scott, right here. Together, she and I have the honor of serving sexual assault centers in Alberta. And in addition to Danielle from Calgary Communities Against Sexual Abuse, I'd like to honor and acknowledge Chris Johnson from the Sonari Center in Medicine Hat, Roxanne Thiessen from Saffron Center in Sherwood Park in Strathcona County, Patricia Arengo from the Central Alberta Sexual Assault Support Center in Red Deer. So, where am I here? So sexual assault centers, they are community-based and trauma-specialized agencies who are responding to individuals, families, and communities impacted by sexual violence on a daily basis. For many sexual assault centers in Alberta, they've been doing this for the last 40 to 50 years. Today, there are 15 of them, but if you count their satellite offices and their traveling teams, they are physically located in over 50 different communities across Alberta, which is amazing. They are providing a continuum of core services, specialized services to survivors of sexual violence, of which the minister referenced, including specialized counseling therapy, crisis response, prevention education, and many more to Albertans of all ages and gender. Together, the ASAS network is a network of many voices, united for one purpose, which is safe and healthy communities free from sexual violence. On behalf of sexual assault centers, we are so pleased to see this announcement of increased resources to the sector. Thank you, Minister. For over 30 years, sexual assault centers have worked together through ASAS to enhance access to services across the province. It is difficult for survivors to reach out for help in the aftermath of sexual violence. When someone does disclose, as they are doing more and more every day, it is critical that they receive help in a timely way, as close to home as possible. For the last 2 decades, ASAS, Sexual Assault Centers, and the Government of Alberta have worked together to meet the needs of Albertans. Most recently, in 2019, we launched Alberta's One Line for Sexual Violence. And in 2020, we launched the Prevalence of Child Sexual Abuse and Sexual Assault in Alberta study, which, as the minister said, found that 43% of Albertans, 1.8 million people in our province, have experienced at least one incident of sexual abuse or sexual assault in their lifetime. 34% of Albertans experience child sexual abuse. In 2023, responding to the needs identified by sexual assault centers following the COVID-19 pandemic, the Government of Alberta responded by injecting emergency funding to help address some of the longest wait times for counseling in our sector. And today, I am proud to be with them as they announce that they are following through on their commitment to sexual assault centers to allocate $10 million over the next 3 years. Alberta is leading the country in our response to sexual assault, and it's investments like this that are the reason why. Thank you, Minister Turton, Minister Furr, Premier Smith, and the Government of Alberta for your attention to this very serious public health and safety issue. This funding will help our members, the people here, to respond to the increasingly complex needs of survivors, the demand for specialized core services that continues to increase, and the need for prevention efforts. As a network, we are committed to ongoing collaboration and partnership with you to sustain the great work of sexual assault centers in supporting survivors in their healing journey. Thanks. Thank you.
The other way, okay. Thank you so much, Corinne. As both ministers have mentioned, the timing couldn't be better as we move into the Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I'm pleased that the Alberta government is recognizing the need for sexual assault services across Alberta and honoring the resilience of those that we serve every single day, including our staff who work hard. I think both of you have mentioned that we have amazing staff in our centers. And once again, thanks everyone for coming today. Thank you, Dad. I hope you're proud of me. I now invite staff from the Minister's office to start the media Q&A session. Thanks for the opportunity. Take care, everyone.
All right, we will now open things up for a Q&A. Reporters will be able to ask one question and one follow-up. I ask that you please state your name and outlet. If you are in the room, there's a microphone at the back. We will begin by taking calls from the phones. Operator, put through the first caller, please.
There are currently no callers in the queue.
Okay, and are there any questions in the room?
That don't speak English, to the South Asian community or the Chinese community? Are there, is there materials out there in their language to know how to access you?
That's a good question. One of the first things that we did as part of the gender-based violence strategy was we did a survey that people can do, and that was provided in different languages. As we continue the roundtables and engagements, that is something that I know the department is looking at, because you bring up a good point. I talked about how certain groups are or disproportionately affected by that, and we don't want language to be a barrier. So that is something that we're looking at.
Many men feel stigma or afraid to call, because they're a man. How are you reaching out to men that may, be in this unfortunate situation?
Yeah, as we talk about, men and boys that's 50% of the population, right? And they're part of the problem, they're part of the solution, they're part of the whole equation. So I know in the engagements that we're doing with the gender-based violence, that's a big group that we're including is men and boys. And we talk about, breaking the cycle, right? I mean, I think some of the centers and places that I've toured, and the faces of the little kids are what keeps me up at night, when you think about what they've seen. and what they've been through, and if they don't get the help and support that they need to be able to model and see what healthy work environments are, then they can't break that cycle. So it just goes back to the critically important work that these centers do. So yes, short answer is yes, we are engaging men and boys, and that's a big part of it.
I'm very touched that you are touched and that you've done your homework. Can you share some of the experience that you know, were you traveling to some of the communities where people were, you know, in these situations?
Yeah, and I'm going to get Minister Turton to join me with this as well, because I know he's done a lot of touring as well, and I'll be doing more of it this summer as well when session is done. May 30th? Yes, I've toured a variety of centers and providers, and it's, like I said, it's incredible, the life-saving work that's done. And unless I talk to those individuals firsthand and see those experiences firsthand, you can't understand it and you can't appreciate it. So I want to do more than that. I'd like Minister Turton to compliment that as well, because he's done even more touring than I have. So.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister, for your leadership. Since being appointed as Minister last June for this file, I've been really, I would say, eager to travel around the province, listen to the stories of the survivors, as well as listening to the stories from the sexual assault centers. And for myself, the stat that just keeps coming out is almost 50% of Albertans have been affected by sexual violence. And when I think of that stat, I think of the story, as Minister first said, a small child that is affected and creating a cycle of generational trauma. I think of an auntie or a family member or a friend or a neighbor that really has nowhere else to go. And so when I think of sexual assault centers and the amazing work that they do to help out men and women, but predominantly women, for myself, I look at them really as centers of hope. Because for so many people entering those doors, they don't know where else to go. And they know that if they come to a sexual assault center, the resources will be there, the staff will be there, they will receive the love and support that they require to begin the healing journey. And so for myself, as I've been traveling around the province, listening to those stories from families, listening from the firsthand accounts of many of the staff at the sexual assault centers, that's just been really prevalent in my own mind about the effects that this positive investment will make to make it a truly an inspirational and difference for so many families and children right across the entire province.
For some people that may want to access it.
Sorry, can we just... You've already had three.
One more. I think they're important. Is it free? Can you talk about that? It's free.
Yes, absolutely. Any Albertan, regardless of where they live in the province, can receive access to the supports that they require to begin the healing journey. That's a key part about the ministry. Perhaps maybe, Corinne, you can answer a little bit about your first-hand experience working here as well. So we'll let you roll up.
Yeah, let me roll up. Thank you, Minister. I think I'll just add to your first few questions as well that Alberta's One Line for Sexual Violence is available in over 200 languages, thanks to the Minister Turton's support for the One Line. In addition, thank you to Minister Furr's ministry. We are also able to promote the One Line in sexual violence in several languages as well. In addition to, since the early 80s, sexual assault centers in Alberta have served people of all genders, including boys and men. And our prevalence study found that 1 in 4 boys and men experience sexual assault or sexual abuse in their lifetime, and 1 in 2 girls and women as well. And so we know how important it is to provide services across the continuum of gender to people of all backgrounds. My name is Corinne Ofsty, and I'm the co-CEO of the Association of Alberta Sexual Assault Services. Thank you so much. And further to Minister's point, also sexual assault services are barrier-free as well.
Are there any other questions in the room? All right, I believe that concludes our press conference for today. Thank you all for attending.